everyone. Welcome to the Real Estate Red Zone, brought to you by the Real Estate Center at Texas A&M University. I'm Haley Reeder, Communications Specialist. Today is Wednesday, June 26th, 2019. Happy summer! On this day in 1832, the Mexican fort at Velasco surrendered to Texas colonists in the Battle of Velasco. This was probably the first occasion of bloodshed in relations between Texas and Mexico. Between 100 and 150 Texans, under the command of Henry Smith and John Austin, had gone to Brazoria to secure a cannon for use against Mexican forces at Anahuac. Domingo de Ugartechea, commander at the fort of Velasco, tried to prevent the passage of their vessel. As a result of the ensuing 11-hour battle, one writer called Velasco the Boston Harbor of the Texas Revolution. Mexican forces surrendered when their ammunition was exhausted. Final terms allowed Ugartechea to surrender with honor and return to Mexico aboard a ship furnished by the Texans. The final document of surrender was signed by Texas Representatives William H. Wharton and William J. Russell. Robot, a machine capable of carrying out a complex series of actions automatically. Once reserved for dystopian literature, the infiltration of robots in human life has never been more apparent. Virtual assistants like Apple's Siri and Amazon's Alexa, autonomous vacuum cleaners, and even self-driving cars are no longer fantasies of the future. While the reality of the robot revolution is rosier than ominous prophecies of the past, not all of the consequences are well understood. Rapid technological change threatens more than half of Texas' current employment, but increased productivity is a net benefit on employment and standards of living in the long run. Technology has also caused some uneasiness in the real estate industry. The threat of online tools offering services to potential homebuyers looms over professionals' heads as the fear of being removed from the buying process grows. Changes like that have been on the center's mind for quite some time. Earlier this year, Center research data scientist Gerald Clausen talked to WalletHub about this disruption. He said, "Online tools will automate the simplest services provided to homebuyers. Realtors who rely on providing simple services to clients will feel the biggest impact. I liken the situation to the days of the full-service stock brokerage charging a $100 fee to execute stock trades. The internet made personal trading possible, and soon discount brokers emerged charging $8 or less per trade. Brokerages that didn't adapt to the new technology disappeared. The brokerages that embraced the technology and found new fee-based services survived and thrived." He continued, "The big difference is that real estate transactions are much more complex than stock trades, so this works in the favor of realtors. How many home buyers will have the confidence to execute a home purchase on their own? The rest will require some assistance, so there will always be a need for real estate agents. It will be interesting to see what technologies realtors adopt to provide a higher level of service than they do today." A link to Gerald's full conversation with WalletHub is posted on our podcast webpage and in the YouTube description box. So in what other ways does automation not only affect the real estate industry, but also Texas employment and the economy as a whole? Joining us today to talk about that is Center Research Economist Dr. Luis Torres, Research Associate Wesley Miller, and Research Intern Peyton Van. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
All right, so how does mechanization AI, which is artificial intelligence, and other technology that affect employment, how has all of that changed since the 1990s?
Well, actually, let me just start by saying this. Let me put it in a bigger context. This automation actually began in the 70s in manufacturing.
Interesting.
If you look at the data for the U.S. economy, U.S. manufacturing jobs, they actually reached a climax, a peak in the late 70s. So after that, you've seen employment in manufacturing going down constantly. But it's interesting. You look at employment going down, but you see output increasing. So the U.S. actually produces more output using less people to do that, right? So we become more productive. So that process has started in the 1970s, that automation of jobs. Now, we get here now, and people are talking about what's going to happen further on. Now that we see the new advancements, artificial intelligence, machine learning, the process has accelerated. And that's where people are getting scared now. They think that jobs are going to come in and steal their jobs. But wait, don't worry. People don't have to worry. That's going to happen. It's a process.
Right.
And we don't know perfectly what's going to happen in the future.
And a main thing that Luis touched on is, so we know there was an increase in productivity and major changes throughout the entire employment distribution, but primarily in manufacturing in the 1990s, starting earlier and going through the 1990s. But the way that change occurred and the types of jobs and the types of tasks that were affected has really transformed over the past 2 decades. And when it all started, it was focused primarily on routine and repetitive tasks. And this coincided with the implementation of computers into the workforce during these decades. And so tasks such as filing and sorting and really organizational things were also being automated at the same time as kind of heavy machinery and lifting and transportation. Now, we're with artificial intelligence and increased technology in the current phase of automation, what we've coined as the robot revolution. It's not so much about repetition and routineness as can something be programmed into a computer process. And fundamentally, those two things are really different. And so now it's affecting a whole new segment of jobs and employment.
And really, I think that's a pretty good way and heuristic of how we're going to be looking at how automation happens. It's like what type of employment is being attacked. Like Dr. Torres said in the very beginning in the 1970s, it was mostly manufacturing. And, because we had the ability to be able to do so at the time, manufacturing was like physical labor that was, replaced. Whereas in the 1990s, we had the digital revolution. We had computers being implemented in the office. We had computers being implemented at home slightly thereafter in the 2000s. And we see things like accounting starting to be on the way out and things that are more mental.
That's a perfect example that Aban just mentioned, accounting, right? What happened to accountants? TurboTax.
Right.
We got the TurboTax. What happened to all those, you used to go actually with the accountant and tell them, here's my taxes. Now you actually do them by yourself. And you're assured, it's a certain degree of confidence that you're doing the right thing. Mm-hmm. You can do it by yourself. So all those jobs, were replaced. So they make a really good point, both of them, that we move from manufacturing to other types of services jobs now. Now, just to make a quick point is that, unfortunately, globalization, trade is being blamed. Like 90s, you talk about 90s when NAFTA was signed initially. Yeah. And people love to point at NAFTA, globalization, that took away most of the jobs. Yes, it did affect it, especially China entering 2001, the World Trade Organization. It accelerated the process. Right. It was coming, by the way. It was going to happen, but it accelerated the process. But still, you can't blame everything. I think if you look at actually the data, it's more to do about automation than actually the negative effects of trade or globalization on our jobs.
Right. And I think what might be the differentiating factor between this current wave of automation that did start in the 70s, but is slightly being iterated upon every decade or so, is the advent of machine learning and of big data mining and things like that. Because now things that were once routine and rotary and mindless almost, or not mindless, but required a great deal of routine, but was still skilled, could be automated away. Now things that are non-routine can be automated away because machines have such a large data set to work with. They're able to learn things that they were not previously being able to.
Yeah.
One of my favorite examples is, and we mentioned this in the article, is just making a left-hand turn against oncoming traffic. And it's something that we do every single day that we don't even think about. But if you slow down and think about the complications of and how in-depth that process is, you have to judge the speed of oncoming cars of different objects. You have to make sure there's nobody crossing the street at that time. You have to be aware of everything in your surroundings, and now that's possible, and it's really incredible that we have that technology, and it's only getting better.
Yeah, and also you need the infrastructure. Automotive driving, self-driving cars, more automation in the factories. We need 5G for that. That's a big issue, and once we get that, it's going to tend towards more automation, and less people doing it. Now, still, it doesn't mean the jobs are going to go away. Let's say, for the case of cars, right? We've heard that Uber is testing all these automated cars. But, at the end of the day, some people may prefer that somebody drive me instead of getting into a car where there's no person in there, right? So maybe you're going to pay a little bit more for that service. So it doesn't mean all those jobs will practically go away, but they're probably going to be more costly when humans are involved, right?
Because you can't replace that human interaction.
Exactly.
At all.
Exactly. You can't replace that human interaction
Yet.
I think it's also worth evaluating how much does human interaction matter to people these days. Like, how much does it matter to you that your clerk at the store tells you, hi, how are you?
Yes.
Is that really something that people still want nowadays? Is it worth paying that extra $1?
Yeah. Some people would like that. Some people may not, right? Some people may say, you know what? I prefer low cost. I don't want to talk to nobody when I enter the store, like Amazon stores. I just want to pay, grab the things I want and leave, right? Maybe I do want that social contact and I'll pay a little bit more for that.
Yeah.
So the emphasis in social interaction brings up an interesting phenomenon that occurred with this technological change. And it's what we say a polarization in the employment distribution. So we talked about how technology has complemented high skill work. It's made productive workers even more productive. And now we just brought up some lower skill tasks that involve social interaction, and those jobs have been increased as well. So if you think about as high skill jobs flourish and people gain these skills and get richer and increased income, they have less time to do household tasks, less time to do lower service occupations, and it increases demand for those lower service type jobs that sometimes people prefer social interaction. So I like to contrast your experience at the grocery store, where now we have automated checkout lines more and more often. And it's because most people don't really care about that social interaction with the cashier. Mm-hmm. It's just a simple hello, how are you doing? And then, okay, I pay and then I leave. But when you go out and sit down at a restaurant, people are still more hesitant to just go to a menu to order their food. They like to actually be served. And so while the difference between a cashier and a waiter/waitress, maybe the skills aren't that drastically different, the degree of social interaction that we culturally demand is different. So those types of jobs that we still demand cultural interaction definitely have a future in our employment distribution and are safer to automation.
Yeah, and also, going to the points of this automation is actually, there's been written a lot about this literature in economics about job polarization. So it's kind of polarized the jobs. All those medium-skilled jobs, repetitive jobs, they've probably gone away. And now what we're seeing is, high-skilled jobs and low-skilled jobs. And that's created, it's been a benefit positively for if you're high-skilled jobs. That is where the benefits come. You've seen those earnings and increase at a higher rate than, lower. And middle-skilled jobs practically are, a lot of them disappeared.
And it's often difficult. So if you were in a middle-skill occupation and your job gets automated, it's very difficult to break into the high-skill wages and high-skill jobs starting in the middle skill. So what happens is they often fall into the lower-skilled jobs and service occupations that pay less than they're used to, and so that's also a form of underemployment that affects you emotionally as well. So those are problems that our society needs to deal with, and I think we need to embrace technological change. It ends up improving society as a whole, but we need to do a better job of helping and smoothing the transitions for the people that are disrupted.
Yeah, because, a job is more than just earning money, right? You need a sense of purpose, right? So if you don't, your job is important in that way. So imagine, yes, you're automating, but you still need that purpose. You need a job, something to do every day.
I'm really glad we brought up the emotional cost of the current wave of automation, because I definitely think it's something worth looking into. And just as a hypothetical question, the number one job in 19 states right now is truck driving. The number one job in the country is going to be retail and services related to sales. And those are going to be the two most at-risk jobs that are going to be on the way out in the next 20, 30 years. So, what are we going to do with all these people that are going to be in a low-skilled but non-routine category of work? Where are they going to go after this? How do we repurpose them? And
one important takeaway, I think, from the paper, we've addressed a lot of the issues and a lot of the disruption, but historically, these are not new concerns. These have, every phase of automation has gone through these concerns and these problems. And what has always held true is you don't see the new jobs that are going to be creative, and they're typically higher skilled and productive. So before computers really got popularized and implemented into the production process and into the workforce, we had no idea what a coder would be or what a programmer would be.
Or a data scientist, right?
The entire tech industry was unfathomable just 30 years ago. We had no idea what all these new occupations, and now they're some of the most popular and highest paying. And
But going to his point, they require higher skills.
Yes.
So think about it this way. So yeah, this is not new to history, but maybe the process, maybe it's fast, it's going on faster, and you start to require higher skills, more skills. So that's an issue that we have to look at our education system to try to train these people for the new jobs of the 21st century.
Right.
Jobs that we can't yet see.
Exactly.
But so we need people
more flexible.
Yeah, our workforce to have a wide range of talents and probably designed for what the jobs that are anticipated to grow. So that's why we see more programs in pushing kids in education to
coding.
For coding and computer programming, because yes, those jobs are already here, but we can imagine that those jobs will also evolve into future occupations that we can't see right now.
Yeah, but it's also good to say that we're not going to say that everybody should be a coder, right? Or an engineer, right?
Yeah.
But there are going to be other jobs. There's going to be like service jobs or other jobs with you need social skills to work with.
Are there any jobs that you might perceive as safe? Because I was even looking, there's a new Google algorithm that's been going around for the past few years that you draw something and it will draw a better version of it. So you draw like a little stick figure horse and it'll have like a nicer horse for you. So like even art might not be safe. Could it be? Or is that just do you perceive that as being a problem? Like those kinds of jobs, the more creative jobs, do you see them getting taken over, or do you think you are always going to need something like that?
Yeah, I think you should, I think you still want the imperfection sometimes in art. And that's the appreciation of beauty, right? I was talking to my wife and I was telling her, I'm sorry, maybe I'm older than you guys, but I miss going to the record shop, looking at the actual vinyl
shop?
The actual vinyl records, looking at like all the vinyl records, going home, opening the vinyl record package, getting the record, putting it in the turntable, and hearing that when it hits it. I know it's not perfect. I know it's not digital like right now. It's awesome. I like music to do, but there's things you kind of, that was cool. It's still, for me, it's cool, right? Yeah. So yeah, to think about it. So it depends on the appreciation. I think, there's gonna be an opportunity for everything. I don't know. It depends on perceptions, but still, art is so human, so the quality, the imperfection with it also. I like that. It makes it, for me, that imperfection makes it perfect, right? Those little details, right?
One thing that we can't program right now, and we probably never will be able to, is idea creation.
Right.
And so, when we talk about the emphasis on programmability, think about a simple mechanism. It's not simple, but it's something that we take for granted. Something like breathing. We just do it. We don't really think about how we do it. And those are the type of things that are difficult to program. Things that you can't fully describe. And idea creation and creativity, those types of things we aren't good at describing. And so when you take an example of art, it may be better in terms of some set parameters that the programmer has defined, but art is usually, beauty is in the eye of the beholder and not in the programmer.
On the more technical side, I also think like people who are creating automation are going to be safer now. Engineers, computer scientists,
right?
Things that are protected from automation, like litigators and lawyers, that'll be more safe. So yeah, there are like a lot of more high skill jobs that are going to be more safe, but on the low side, I don't see as many as of right now.
So let's move into the real estate industry. There have been concerns about online listing services disrupting the real estate industry and potentially removing realtors from the home buying process. Do these fears hold any water, and how can realtors protect themselves and prepare for automation?
Well, I think they definitely hold water. We've already seen disruptions, but kind of the same thing that we've been talking about. If realtors can embrace the technological change and find ways to use the technology to complement their business and complement their skills, then they can find that their services are could be sustainable. For example, yes, you're able to filter and search for listings at the comfort of your own home now, and it's that's attacked a lot of realtors, their business, but people can't always describe what they want in a home based on just the school district and size and price, the finite set of parameters. sometimes there's a gut instinct and going and visiting homes and seeing homes with a realtor. You can't describe what you want, but the realtor might just get it. And that intuition, that gut feeling is what we can't program. So the realtors that can embrace technology, use it to improve their own businesses to be ahead of the market, but also add their expertise and that value. I think that there's still a role.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that they should be looking at if you're a realtor is the commission part of it. I think the commissions are definitely going to be affected. I think the amount of percentages are probably going to go down because of, the new technology. And it's a wave that, you've seen in all the industries. Practically, travel agents was one of the first industries hit by automation, right? Now they experience it. I can go online, I can look, but buying a house is totally different than buying a car or buying it's a major investment in your life, right? But still, that wave is going to come in, it's coming in and it's hitting the realtors also. It's disrupting their market. And with the idea of improving the experience of purchasing a home, and that includes lowering the costs. And I think that's where, especially for the commissions they charge, I think they're probably going to hit the commissions they're charging.
Yeah, and I think a lot of realtors would agree too. It's not just about finding the perfect home; it's also guiding the prospective buyer through the process. A lot of, especially if you're talking about first-time home buyers, I mean, it's a whirlwind. It's overwhelming, and so the realtor not only provides you a menu of these options.
They provide guidance. They provide you guidance and improve your experience when purchasing a home. And I think that's their niche. Mm-hmm. The ones that, like Wesley mentioned earlier, the ones that, can adapt to the new technology and use it. Those are the ones that are going to be better, well off, better than other ones that can't, the idea of the new technology and use it to their benefit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it certainly can be used to improve efficiency in the realty market. Like, a lot of time can be wasted just looking for what's going to be the right home, whereas if you can find it online first and then go and view it, that's going to be a lot of time that you're not having to spend, touring with people. This isn't the right one, this isn't the right one, like the Goldilocks effect kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Because every property does have, like Wes was saying, every property has a je ne sais quoi about it. Is it right for me? Is it not right for me? And you can't necessarily see that online. So you need to go see it.
No, and we see that. There was an article, last week, I think I shared with you guys, there was in the Wall Street Journal that talked about Zillow, that now is purchased. I think their area of they're looking at, whether they're experimenting, is Arizona, Phoenix. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're purchasing homes right now, and what they do, they purchase their home, they have a system where they have the contractors that come in, fix the home up, make it prettier, and you can look online and you can actually go directly to the home, look at it as a home buyer if you're interested, look at the house, I like it, and then, I'll put an offer for it. So that's what they're experimenting right now with that. And there's no middleman there. There's no realtor involved. And so it's interesting if it works. Now, I think most of those homes, if you look at the article, they mention the word a lot, homogeneous. Mm-hmm. Going back to Wesley's point, maybe my tastes and preferences are different than those type of homes. Maybe I'm buying a more expensive home. I think the range, it was $250,000. It was like a first time home buyer home. They were basically the same types of home. So they're trying to experiment with that. So going back to Wesley's point, maybe, it's for starters, there's a niche, there's a place where they can take away that niche of that market, but still the experience, maybe I want a different experience. I want a person. Mm-hmm. These homes are not the same in this region. They're different. My tastes are different. I like this with my home, I like a pool. I want a pool. I want this, how many rooms, et cetera, et cetera. So, yes, you see it right now, and they're experimenting with that. So yes, there's a wave right now, transformation, and see how the disruption. Let's see what actually is what actually does happen to what we're speculating, because we're speculating, and at the end of the day, you never know. Like example, like Amazon. First of all, we thought about Amazon just selling books, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Well, they don't sell books anymore, right? They sell groceries, sell everything. They're doing a lot of things. Facebook, social media. Now they have their own coin, right? Like a Bitcoin, a cryptocurrency. Who would thought about that, right? So these are the initial stages. But yes, if I was a realtor, I would be looking at what's happening at the market, and trying to improve my skills and trying to combine my human, what I bring to the table as a human being, my social skills, with that technology, and complement that with the technology that's available right now.
Yeah. Plus, home buying is just so complicated.
Yes.
You can't, think about, I'm just going to click a buy button online. You have to think about insurances, getting
The mortgage, if you're getting a mortgage.
Getting inspections done, making sure everything, negotiating, can an algorithm really negotiate the way that you want? That kind of thing. So that's really interesting that human and social interaction is also just so important. And,
yeah. One thing I'd say on that too, I think that what we're going to see through this technological change, and probably what Zillow and other new startups in this industry are trying to accomplish, is it's going to simplify things. So realtors should probably, from the people that we've talked to, they are definitely embracing that, and not that the complications are coming from that part of the industry, but like you said, it's multifaceted. There's so many different moving parts that, it's probably going to condense some to make the process, simpler.
And that's
simpler
good for
faster.
home buyers.
And lower cost, yeah.
Yeah.
And a better experience for the home buyer, right?
Yeah, and also selling your home faster.
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about, I'm paying 2 mortgages now if I'm selling and I just
faster,
bought one.
and the commission.
Yeah.
Maybe that's going to be a lower commission that you charge me for selling my house, right?
But you'll have more time to work on other
And
sales.
Exactly.
These are all inefficiencies that we've identified or discussed here, and this is what technological change does. It causes disruption, it causes pain for some people in some parts of the market, but it's directed towards improving these efficiencies and generally making everybody better off in the long run.
Yeah.
I mean, it always acts in the interest of the consumer every time, and that's going to make things easier for everyone involved, but not necessarily for the
Yeah, what basically it's doing, putting it in economic terms, you're increasing productivity.
Yep.
You're lowering costs, right, and you're increasing the productivity, and that's a gain for the whole economy and for the real estate industry, because it makes you more efficient. You're more efficient, you're more productive, earnings are higher, right? And you're lowering costs and you're creating higher earnings. So at the end of the day, everybody wins, right? Of course, I'm talking about the net effect. There's always losers, right? Some people are going to lose, but overall, the net, there's a net benefit, right? Once you subtract gains minus losers or losses, there's going to be a positive net gain.
Yeah.
But yes, don't forget, sometimes economists, we make the mistake, like we were talking about, I mentioned earlier, international trade. It's the net benefit of international trade. There's a lot of gains, but there are also losers. So never forget the losers.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people are going to hurt. So unfortunately, the people that have the skills or cannot adapt to the new change, to the disruptions in the industry which the technology brings with it, those are the people who are going to lose. But at the end, the net is a positive.
Right.
And it's a positive for everybody.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on. Really appreciated having you.
Yeah, anytime.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. Thanks again to Luis, Wes, and Peyton. You can read their article, Robot Revolution, Automation and the Changing Job Landscape, on our website. The link is on our podcast webpage. You can find that article plus our 5 economic reports in our research library. The reports discuss different facets of the Texas economy, including border economic health, statewide housing market data, employment, commercial real estate, and general economic well-being. We posted a link to our research library on our podcast webpage. The research library is also home to all of the articles in the upcoming Tierra Grande magazine. And if you can't wait for the July issue to hit your mailbox, head online to read articles about topics like flood protection technology, homeownership affordability, the effects of subprime lending, estate planning tools, development in Waco, and real estate disputes. That's going to be it for today's podcast. If you want more from the Real Estate Center, you can follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. You can also check out our website, www.recenter.tamu.edu, for the latest research articles, blogs, news, and more. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. You can get more podcasts like these, plus exclusive videos, on our channel. We also post our podcasts on iTunes. You can subscribe there, and on our website. Thanks for joining us today in the Real Estate Red Zone, brought to you by the Real Estate Center in College Station, Texas, where we've been helping Texans make better real estate decisions since 1971. This is Haley Reeder, and I'll see you next time. Bye!